My name is William E. Harrer, and I'm 86 years old, and today's date is July 23rd, 2010.
And today I wanted to talk about your experience with the Marine Corps. How did you come about enlisting?
Well, when out of high school, I finished the 10th grade. I was 17 years old, and there was 3 other siblings in the house, so I figured it was time to get out. And so my mother was by herself, was having a hard time supporting all of us, so I figured it was time to get out of the house and take care of myself, so I joined the Marine Corps.
Who was still at home?
My older brother Frank, and my younger brother Bob, and my younger sister Margaret Ann. Also my older sister, but she was working, so she was okay.
Why did you pick the Marine Corps?
Travel and see the world, and that I did, so.
Did you have a friend that suggested the Marine Corps, or?
No, I did it all on my own.
Did you consider the Army, or?
No.
You said, I want to be a Marine?
I want to be a Marine and travel the world.
So he signed...
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli.
So you signed up and you ended up in Camp Pendleton, huh?
Camp Pendleton wasn't there. I went to San Diego. I think it was either 3 or 5 days on the train going to San Diego. But we had a sleeper car, which was nice. We were first class at that time, so got to San Diego in June of 1941. Started my boot training, and at that time they were running out of uniforms because other people were joining the Marine Corps at that time. So.
Was that because war was brewing or the economy was bad?
We didn't have an inkling of war at that time. In fact, when I finished my boot training, we got our assignment, and first I was assigned to China, and then they changed their mind and sent me to Hawaii instead. And it took 5 days to get to Hawaii on board ship.
Was that a pretty big adventure?
That's my cruise, first cruise.
Your very first cruise?
Yes. So,
do you remember what ship you went over on?
USS Wharton, I think. It was a nice ship. Saw Diamond Head coming out. Very exciting for a 17-year-old. And when we were on base, well, we could go to town and we didn't have to wear a uniform. We could wear our civilian clothes before the raid. And so a friend of mine and I, we would go to the high school dances and stuff like that. But they knew we were in the service because of our haircut. The rest of them didn't have short hair like we did, so.
How far in advance of December 7th did you get to Hawaii?
I got to Hawaii in August of 1941.
1941, and the attack was on that December, right?
Yeah, right. We had it pretty good until the war started. And then after that, our liberty was for 2 hours, and we go to town for 2 hours, and then it got longer after a while. I was there probably 2 years in Hawaii, so, or 2.5 years, which was good for me.
What was your day like before the attack? I mean, what kind of duties did you have?
Well, we'd guard the tank farms and the main gate to Pearl Harbor. There was they were building a big oil tank that was called Red Hill. They were just building that to store oil instead of having tank farms there. And it was a big tunnel in the side of the hill. I think there's 3 or 4 big, huge tanks that would hold the oil, but they weren't completed yet. So then I did duty up at the new hospital that they had built. They had a little brig there. We took care of that brig. And later on, when the war started, they had some Japanese pilots that came in. Actually, they were a lot of fun. They were happy to be there, out of the war. And one of them drew me a picture of Mount Fujiyama. Foolishly, I sent it home, and it never got home. They censored it.
They censored all the mail.
They censored all the mail. After the attack in Pearl Harbor, I saved the Pearl Harbor newspapers, and I sent those home, and they never got home. So they censored all the newspapers from Pearl Harbor. But little did I know, at age 17, 18.
Were you sending money home too?
No, I was getting $21 a month, and they took $2 out for my laundry and $2 out for insurance, which didn't leave a lot of money in 1941. After a while, I got a raise to $36 a month.
Must have been quite a change, though, from going from Chicago to the Hawaiian Islands, I bet.
It was, yeah. It was good duty, no doubt about it.
No winters, no snow.
No winters, no snow, yeah.
So you were there for 2 years. Then where did you go?
Went back to the States, and we went to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, where it was the staging area. I was there for 6 months. During that 6 months, they asked for volunteers for a certain duty, and I volunteered, and at the last minute, they said that they didn't need me. Well, one of my best buddies, he went to Hot Springs, Georgia, to protect President Roosevelt, and they had a heck of a time down there.
That was the duty you had volunteered for?
That was the duty I volunteered and got missed out on. So. And then after 6 months, we got shipped back to, we were in a replacement, and I went to Guam, cleaned up Guam. Some Japanese were still running around, but not too many.
Who had fought the main battle of Guam? Was that?
The 3rd Marines.
The 3rd Marines.
Yeah, the 3rd Marine Division.
And you were in the?
And I was in Company, the 3rd Marines, the 3rd Marine Division. So after we cleaned up Guam, then we got ready to go to Iwo Jima. And we went up to Iwo Jima for a month, but we stayed aboard ship. We were in reserve there, but they were still shooting at us. Shooting at the ship. Came back to Guam, and we're getting ready to go to Japan. We're supposed to be the pinpoint, the spearhead to hit Japan. Probably wouldn't be here today if they hadn't dropped the bomb. Good old Harry Truman, he saved my life. So, brave man. Made the right decision as far as I'm concerned.
Was there one particular battle you were engaged in?
Just the one at Guam. I didn't see too much action.
You were just flushing out the stragglers that had left behind?
Yeah. Oh, while I was on Guam, my brother Frank, he joined the Seabees, and he was on the island of Saipan. I got permission to fly over and see him, and so we rode over in a transport airplane, and I got a ride out to his outfit, and I stayed with him for a week, which was nice.
How was he doing?
Oh, the Seabee's done a remarkable job on Guam. When we got to Guam, all there was a bunch of dirt roads, bumpy and muddy. And when we left there was super highways going across Guam that the Seabees built. Well, when I went over to see him in Saipan, he told me, he says, we went to watch a movie out in the open, and there was a big screen. And we were sitting on the side of the hill, and he said, look around you every now and then because a Japanese guy might be sitting next to you. They're watching the movies too. On Guam, on the day that the Japanese capitulated, it was on the radio. We listened to the whole speech from Japan, and that was pretty neat. And everybody started shooting their rifles. You figure what goes up comes down, so you better be careful where you're shooting. It was a great day. And there was a point system, and you needed something like 72 points to get out of the service. I was in the reserve at that time because I had already spent my 4 years in the Marine that I signed up for. So they put me in the reserve. They asked me if I would like to sign up again, and I said, no, thank you. They said, well, we could send you to Korea. Yeah, I said, well, no, thank you. I had something like 110 points at the time, so I was one of the first ones to get out of the Marine Corps. I think they gave me $400 and said goodbye. On my way to the train station and went home from Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay. Did
they fly you to San Francisco, or did you?
They didn't fly you anywhere. We were aboard ship, probably almost a month going to Guam. We went to the Marshall Islands, and at least they let us off the ship and we went swimming in the Marshall Islands, so that was pretty neat, trying to avoid the Japanese Armada.
Were the Marshall Islands pretty much ours at that point?
Yeah.
So you didn't have to worry about the Japanese there?
Well, you did, because they were all over the place. They were everywhere. We left from Guam and we come into San Francisco on a Liberty ship.
How were things when you got back?
They're good, yeah. We went to a trade school called Washburn Trade School in Chicago.
How was your mom doing when you got back?
Oh, they were doing fairly well.
Because Uncle Bob and Margie were still at home. Or had Uncle Bob enlisted at that point?
No, he enlisted later. Yeah, he went to Michigan State, and then he went to Germany.
So you went to trade school as a machinist?
Yeah. Then I got an apprenticeship in H.S. Martin Glass Factory, and they made test tubes and X-ray tubes and stuff like that, and I made the tooling for all that. That's where I met my wife. That was in Evanston, Illinois, yeah, 1944, 45. And in 1947, I think we got married. And I was working at National Biscuit Company at the time, making stuff for the machinery at National Biscuit Company in Evanston. And then we decided, one December day, we decided to go to California. My father-in-law had a 1939 Buick with a 1941 engine in it. And he says, why don't you take it to California and sell it there? I said, okay, that's a good idea. Put all our belongings in the back seat of this 1941 Buick, and in the trunk, we had it all loaded up. And at the last minute, Norai's father said, you're going to California? I want to go. We were going to stay at Norai's place here in Bakersfield, and so we couldn't say no. So we moved the corner of our belongings out of the back seat, and my poor wife had to sit back there, and Norai's father sat in the front seat. And away to California did we go, and it was snowing the day we got up to go to California. We had put the car in my father-in-law's garage, and we had to shovel the snow away to get the car out. He says, "Are you still going?" And I said, "Yeah, we're going." When we went, and we got to somewhere around St. Louis, and a police car coming back of us and with the siren on. He says, "Didn't you see that stop sign?" I said, "No, I didn't see no stop sign. It was covered up with snow." And he looks in the back seat and saw all his stuff, and he says, "Where are you guys going?" I said, "We're going to California." He said, "Well, be careful."
He let you out of that
He
one.
let us go. Away we went. We stopped in Arkansas on the way and saw Clifford Holmes, and he was in Little Rock, Arkansas. And he said, "Where are you going?" I said, "We're going to California." He said, "Wow." And probably 3 or 4 years later, he came out to California with his family. That was pretty neat. And we got here in Bakersfield. There were no jobs for me here in Bakersfield, so we went to Los Angeles.
How long had you stayed here looking for a job?
Probably a month. I got a job at Lockheed in Inglewood, but we happened to take a drive up to Pasadena, and we fell in love with Pasadena, so I didn't even go to work at Lockheed in Inglewood. I found a job in Pasadena, so worked for the Naval Ordnance Test Station there. That was a good job until things got tight and somebody from Long Beach come up and bumped me out of my job.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have much money when you came out here?
No, we never had much money.
It just amazed me that you kind of go, well, I don't have a whole lot of money here. Let's head off to California.
Yeah. And then I went to work for a place in Pasadena called Electrical Optical System. And they were making parts for the first orbiter around the globe. And so I made parts for that.
And then you worked for Canon Electric.
Yeah, I worked for Canon Electric for 12 years.
What did they do?
They made electrical connectors. I run automatic machines. That was a good job. Had a good time there. Raised a couple of kids.
Pico Rivera was a kind of a nice community. It seemed like everybody helped each other then.
Yeah, a lot of nice people there.
One of my memories is putting up the rumpus room. Now, I look back on that and I said, where did all those guys come from? Because seemed like a lot to me. Were there like 10 guys that came out and helped pour the concrete and put the framing up? Yeah. Where did all those guys come from?
I don't know. They're all neighbors.
They were all neighbors?
Yeah. It was fun. They had a train set that we could raise and lower in the garage. A rhubarb patch and a 2-headed cow was a big event.
I remember the dairy that was down. Yeah. We all went down to look at the 2-headed cow.
Yeah, that was a good time.
And Uncle Frank lived there down the street.
Yeah.
We lived in West Covina for probably 4 years, 3 years.
Yeah, not too long, huh? That's when Kennedy got assassinated.
Kennedy was assassinated, yeah. And then you decided you wanted to move to Bakersfield.
Yeah.
Were you just getting tired of machining, or was the opportunities drying up?
Well, my brother-in-law thought it'd be a good idea if we went into business together in a dry cleaning place. So that's why we came to Bakersfield. We went into business together, and that didn't quite work out. So I went to work at Hoppers, and I worked at Hoppers for 2 years, and then things got tight there. Then I went to work in the oil fields as a machinist. Had a nice job. Worked for Go Western. They changed their name probably 3 or 4 times. And it ended up to being Halliburton, I think. I worked for them probably 10, 11 years. We had a union vote, and the union didn't make it. Right after that, they said that they didn't need a machine shop anymore. So Halliburton sold me the machines. I opened up my own machine shop, and they were my best customer. They kept me in business 17 years. That was good.
And you retired in 1995?
That's right, yeah.
And what were the motivations behind that?
I was 71 years old. Huh?
You were done working?
I was done, yeah. I figured I better stop working and enjoy what I had left.